once again it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome everyone to episode 115 of Toss, the Tristain Sports Show. Yes, it is your main man, T-Squared, Tristain Thomas. Thank you all so much for joining us. This week, Brewers are fading fast. You thought it was getting a little bit better until it wasn't. The Packers dominated the Bears on Sunday night. What did I see? I think we're beginning to see some trends. We'll discuss. In the toss sweep, the WNBA champion is crowned. A little bit of breaking news from the NBA. And Mayweather-McGregor too. It's possible. But you all know how we get things started. Here on Toss, we get things started with the state of the state. And let's get started with those Milwaukee Brewers. We just got to get them out the way. All right, I saw some of the DMs. I saw some of the emails over at tossnationmedia.com that you all were sending. It wasn't everyone, but a few of you asking, why am I even discussing the Brewers? Brewers are losers. Brewers are this. Brewers are that. Because it's the state of the state where we speak on the state of sports in the state of Wisconsin. That's what we do. And even if I don't like the direction the Brewers are going, we still have to discuss and try to bring about some sense to it. It is what I am, the common sense of sports. I try to break it down and make it as commonsensical as I possibly can, even if some of the moves made make no sense whatsoever. And that's why we're talking about the Brewers. So let's get into it. Where are they? Currently, they're standing at 78-70. 78-70. At one point last week, they had gotten their deficit for the final wild card in the National League down to a game and a half. And at that point, it was San Diego they were chasing. San Diego has now kind of started to right the ship. They're no longer in that final wild card spot. The Phillies are. So now the Brewers find themselves 2.5 games back of the Philadelphia Phillies for the final wild card in the National League. They give you a little glimmer of hope over the last week of play. But that hope is starting to fade fast. They're circling the drain. You're 2.5 games back, 14 games remaining. You have to get hotter than fish grease to do anything and have to hope that maybe the Phillies or the Padres slide back, because we know it's not going to be the Braves. Braves already clinched their playoff spot. We know it's not going to be the Mets. They've already clinched. For a while there, they were kind of going back and forth, interchanging. They've already clinched their postseason spot, so it's not going to be those two. So you have to hope for the Padres to start sliding again. Or you have to hope for a Phillies slide. They're only 5-5 in their last 10. You're not much better. I know we spoke about this before on Toss, and we're going to keep speaking about it because it's the absolute truth. The Josh Hader trade was wrong. I've said it. I've stood on it. I've had debates about it. The proof is up there on the field. Stearns and Adams were wrong. Hader had a rough month. You're trading him off. Stearns apologists and Adams apologists will say, oh, man, they noticed something. They saw something. They got rid of him. They got as much value as they possibly could for him before the wheels completely fell off. And, yeah, he continued to struggle, especially in August. He was up and down, but more struggles than not. Matter of fact, over his last 15 outings, he has an ERA over 10. But that's over his last 10 outings combined. Or excuse me, his last 15 outings combined. You're talking about that incredibly rough August, that ugly, ugly August. This month, he's made 5 appearances, but if you want to really nail it down and drill it down, over his last 3 outings, and we're talking about Josh Hader here, 3 innings pitched, 2 hits, no runs, 6 strikeouts, no walks, 2 saves. He's allowed no runs over his 5 appearances in the month of September. And what a time for it. It seems like he's getting right where the pieces that you got in the trade, you're talking about the Brewers and David Stearns and Adams, the pieces you got and the pieces you let go, it is just putrid. Now, I said this last night on Twitter at the 20double. You can follow me there. That the trade fractured all the chemistry in the locker room. The production that you got from the guys that you traded for, and then the subsequent moves you made on top of that has been putrid. And that one pitcher who you decided to just let go didn't even bother to take on the project of getting him right, because when he is right, he's a good pitcher. It's just insult to injury. What am I talking about? Taylor Rogers, who was San Diego's closer. You traded for him. You put him in the closer spot when you got him for the Brewers instead of putting Devin Williams there. In his time with the Brewers, Taylor Rogers has a 6.63 ERA. I'm pretty sure it's worse because he gave up that grand slam to the Mets that cost the Brewers the game. A 6.63 ERA. Matt Bush, who you traded for from the Rangers, supposed to be a high leverage guy, a guy you could put in tight spots. Call him a fireman because he could put out the fire. Well, what's he trying to put these fires out with now? A squirt gun? Because he's got a 4.86 ERA in his time with the Brewers. A guy who I even said you're probably not going to get anything out of him when you traded for him. Trevor Rosenthal. He hasn't thrown a pitch for the Brewers. The other guy that I said that, hey, you guys like to take on reclamation projects. This is a perfect candidate. If you can get him right, he could get you some good innings. And Dinelson Lamet. But instead, the Brewers put on waivers, let him go. He became a free agent. He could sign anywhere, and he did. He signed with the Rockies. He's got a 2.81 ERA with the Rockies. So if you're continuing to go at it with me on Twitter, if you're continuing to go at me on in the DMs and in the emails at talknationmedia.com, why? The proof is on the field. You're getting absolutely zero production from your trade pieces and subsequent moves that you made at the trade deadline. Whereas Josh Hader has gotten right in the month of September, which is what you want, especially when you're in a wild card chase and trying to play deep into October to win a championship. Stearns and Adams didn't see anything. Hader had a rough couple of months. He had a rough July. He had a rough August, but he's gotten it together in September. At the most important point of the season. trying to clinch postseason for the Padres. And every piece that you got for them is either playing well for someone else or not playing well for you or not playing for you at all. This is why this team is going to continue to stay where it is. They'll contend for the playoffs. They may even make it some years, because this year, I'm telling you right now, it's 14 games remaining. I don't want to call them out. I don't want to say they're out of it, but they're circling the drain. They'll contend for the playoffs. They'll even make the playoffs at times, but that's it. The closest they've gotten to sniffing a championship was Game 7 of the NLCS, which they lost to the Dodgers at home. And until the mentality changes, until the culture changes, that this is a championship organization, not just division championships. We're talking about World Series championships. This is what the Brewers will be. Stearns and Adams and Antanasio need to understand that Milwaukee is past the point of being happy just to make postseason. It is not acceptable, especially when you have another championship contending team within the same city in the Milwaukee Bucks. They've won a championship. They continue to contend for championships. They're not resting with being happy making the playoffs. You have to have that same championship mentality and DNA throughout your entire organization. That's from the very top with the owner all the way through. But until they get that mentality, until they make moves that will actually fix their deficiencies, this is what they will be. A mediocre team with some talent that likes to mash the ball as opposed to putting hits together, going station to station, playing the game that you need to play in order to win the game instead of waiting for the 3-run home run to win ball games. Oh, it traded away your best pitcher with great chemistry in the locker room that fractures the entire locker room, and then you don't get crap back for them. That's just what the Brewers will be. This is the state that they've gotten themselves in. They have to find a way to get themselves out of it. They are fading fast. 14 games remaining. You're 2.5 games back at Philadelphia for that final NL wild card. If you're going to make a move, you better make it soon. And by soon, I mean like now. You have to get hotter than fish grease and hope that another team gets colder than a polar bear's toe in order to get that NL wild card. I've seen things happen. I'm not saying it's impossible. It's very possible. But it starts with you getting extremely, extremely hot. And quite frankly, I don't have confidence that's going to happen, but we shall see. Continuing here on State of the State, here on Toss, let's get to those dominant Green Bay Packers. Everyone was ready to write the Packers off after week 1, which is just absolute foolishness. But to be expected because they did exactly the same thing last year after week 1. Packers go home to Lambeau, home opener. Beautiful night for football. Sunday night. Your old rival and the Chicago Bears coming into your building, all hyped up off of a huge week 1 win over the Niners, who many are considering Super Bowl contenders. They're trying to carry on that momentum to knock you off, keep you mired in controversy and losing. And that didn't happen. Packers come out with a dominant 27-10 victory. And as I said on Quick Toss, you needed to do it in certain ways. You needed to run the football, play good defense, and have the passing game be complementary. This cannot be an Aaron Rodgers-led offense. What do I mean by that? Well, you have to lead with the run. Because the only way that this passing game under Matt LaFleur truly works is with play action. You can't have play action if they're not respecting the run, if you're not going out there doing good things with the run game. So you have to run the ball, you have to play really good defense, and make sure you have that passing game be complementary, which is beneficial for the whole team. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So how do they do with running the football? 203 yards and a touchdown. That was by Aaron Jones, who ran angry, as I said on Twitter, again, at the20double. He ran angry, and I couldn't blame him. 8 touches in week 1, absolutely unacceptable. Head coach Matt LaFleur came out Monday afternoon, Monday morning, said the same exact thing. 8 touches for Aaron Jones is unacceptable. We got to do better. We have to get these backs more touches. And he did that. 15 carries, 132 yards rushing, add another 3 receptions for 38 yards and a touchdown receiving. So he had 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, 1 receiving. Again, overall, 203 rushing yards and a touchdown for the Green Bay Packers. A.J. Dillon chipping in 18 carries for 61 yards. He got the tough yardage. How'd they do with having the passing game be complementary to the running game? Aaron Rodgers, 19-25, 234 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 picks. That's more Aaron Rodgers-like. Spread the ball around. Sammy Watkins had 3 catches for 93 yards. Really nice game for him. Randall Cobb, 3 catches, 37 yards. Allen Lazard, who made his return along with Elgton Jenkins, who both of them pay dividends in the running game. And you saw that, 203 yards. Obviously, Jenkins pays dividends in the passing game. Protected Rodgers beautifully. This is less than 10 months after an ACL tear. Love having him back. It made everything improve. Just imagine when you get Bakhtiari back on the other side. Allen Lazard made his return. He had only 2 catches for 13 yards, but he also had a touchdown. Now, if you notice, I didn't mention the rookies. I didn't mention Dobbs. I didn't mention Watson. I mentioned those 2 because with having a passing game as a complement to the running game, which is going to lead this offense, you need to throw to guys you have who are experienced and you have experience with, to make sure that when you do have to pass the football, it's going to get caught. You're going to continue to move the chains forward. And that's what this passing game is going to have to do early on until those rookies really get going. And you know, at some point they're going to. And Rodgers is still looking for them. It's not like he isn't. I believe Dobbs has 8 targets. I believe Watson had 7 targets over the first couple of games. He's looking for them. But at least in the early going in the season, the first few weeks, you're going to have to rely on those vets, on those experienced players to help make your passing game go until those guys really get going, because I really feel they will get going. The vets must lead until the rookies get going. And you really saw that on Sunday night. How'd the defense do? Because remember, you needed to run the ball, have the passing game as a complement, and you need to play really good defense. We all know week 1 was not really good defense for the Green Bay Packers. We saw it. We know it. Week 2, different story. They allowed 250 yards overall, 180 of them rushing, which is a problem. I believe David Montgomery had 122 of them. But in the passing game, only 70 yards given up. You only allowed 7 pass completions. I believe that is your lowest total since 2004. I believe December of 2004. Simply amazing. After the opening drive touchdown, the Bears, it was a little over 3 minutes. It was 7 plays, 71 yards. Bears scored the touchdown, took the lead 7-3 at that point. But after that drive, the Green Bay Packers defense did not allow a first down until the third quarter. Let me hit y'all with that again. After the Bears' opening 7-play, 71-yard touchdown drive in the first quarter, the Green Bay Packers did not allow the Bears to get a first down until the third quarter. They allowed 3 points for the remainder of the game, which on the flip side, the Packers only scored 3 points for the remainder of the game after they scored 24 in the first half, but I digress. 3 sacks, 1 pick by Jair Alexander. Dominant performance for the defense. A lot of people will talk about the competition they faced. Oh, the Bears really aren't that good. Well, their defense is not where it used to be. We know this. Justin Fields is still trying to get his feel for the game. And within this new offense, we get this. But they did some good things. I also said on Quick Toss they will want to run the football. 180 yards rushing. 122 by David Montgomery. I mean, that's also how they're going to win games this season until Justin Fields really gets into it. But overall, a dominant performance by this defense. But things get tougher in week 3. Sunday afternoon. You're going to be in hot Tampa Bay. Okay, temperatures are probably going to be 80-plus degrees. It's going to be hot. It's going to be humid. Tampa Bay's defense is extremely tough. You're talking about a unit that's only given up 13 points in the first 2 games with 10 sacks and 6 turnovers. I mean, that's what you're facing. On the flip side, their offense is likely going to struggle. And it has struggled the first couple of weeks because they've been missing guys. No Julio Jones against the Saints. No Chris Godwin against the Saints. Mike Evans got himself ejected for going at his old foe, Marshawn Lattimore, which the NFL upheld that suspension, so he will be out against the Packers in week 3. Now, I know Julio Jones has returned to practice. There's a good chance that he'll play on Sunday. But Chris Godwin, who didn't practice at all last week, and I don't know currently if he's practiced at all this week, that's not a good sign. You're going to have Julio Jones, Scotty Miller, and Russell Gage. Now, you do have Leonard Fournette back there. But again, Packers are bringing a tough defense of their own. But that 180 yards rushing, that's eye-popping. And then, of course, you got Tom Brady back there. But they all also have all sorts of offensive line problems. But I'm saying this game can go either way. But you have to stick with the formula that this team is built for. You need to run the football. The passing game must be complementary to the running game. And you have to play good defense. Who do I see winning that game? Well, you're just going to have to wait for Packers Quick Toss on YouTube. Check us out at TMTruth12, as well as on Facebook, facebook.com/TOnSportsShow. And that's the state of the state. Brewers circling the drain fast. Playoff hopes are fading. 14 games remaining. 2.5 games back of the Phillies for the final wild card in the National League. They have to get hotter than fish grease. And the Packers, a dominant 27-10 victory. They stuck to the script of running the football, 203 yards rushing. Passing game was complimentary, 234 yards and 2 touchdowns by Aaron Rodgers. And you have to play good defense. 250 yards given up, 3 sacks, a pick. Went well over a quarter and a half without giving up another first down. That's dominance. But it gets tougher on Sunday as they face the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But if they stick to that formula, good things can happen. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. The toss sweep, brought to you by the good folks over at tossnationmedia.com. Toss Nation Media, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. We got a little bit of breaking news just a few minutes ago. Came across this on ESPN. It's about something that we spoke about at length right here in the Toss Sweep just last week. Episode 114. Go back and listen to that. Everywhere you get your podcast. Robert Sarver is now in the process of selling both the NBA's Phoenix Suns and the WNBA's Phoenix Mercury. Again, Robert Sarver, this is breaking news. Robert Sarver is in the process of selling both the Suns and the Mercury of the NBA and WNBA. This is a day or two after Warriors for Draymond Green called for the owners to call for a vote on whether or not Sarver should be an NBA owner still. I mentioned it last week here in this space on the Toss Sweep. Donald Sterling was forced to sell his team for his comments. Robert Sarver has had a history of this inappropriate behavior for well over a decade, almost 2. This is egregious, and he should not be an owner. He's displayed conduct unbefitting of an owner. I felt he should have lost his team as well. Well, now he's in the process of selling the team, of both teams. And as I said on the Toss on Facebook page, kicking and screaming probably. I don't think this is something that he wanted to do. I think he was just fine with the weak ass punishment the NBA handed down. But I think all the pressure from the players, and I think the pressure from people within the organization, maybe it got to him to do the right thing. And this is, in my opinion, the right thing. This is conduct unbefitting of an owner. This should have been the punishment all along. Not a $10 million fine for a billionaire. Not 3 years worth of hall monitor, making sure that the work environment is good. Not sending him to some course that he's going to forget everything he learned within the next few weeks after it's over. Real consequence. And real consequence is him not being an NBA or WNBA owner. Why would you want someone like that representing your brand? You shouldn't want that. Robert Sarver taking himself back out. So that's breaking news here on Toss. Robert Sarver, owner, Phoenix Suns, Phoenix Mercury, in the process of selling both teams. This was the best thing to happen. All right, let's get to our original Toss Sweep topics here. Speaking of the WNBA, they've crowned a new champion. Your 2022 WNBA World Champions, as I called it before the season even started, right after they hired their coach, Becky Hammon. That's right. The Las Vegas Aces are your 2020 WNBA World Champions. You all know how much I love Vegas. You all know Vegas is my second home. So the feelings that I have for this championship are very personal. You're talking way back to when the league started, when they were the Utah Stars. Moving to San Antonio, where Becky Hammon really became Becky Hammon. They're moving to Vegas. And now they're world champions. You're talking after the heartbreak. You know, the feelings I have for this championship, before we get to that, the feelings I have for this championship are the same feelings I had when the Milwaukee Bucks won the championship, the NBA championship. That's how I feel. It's so good to see the Aces win a championship after a heartbreak in 2019 in the semifinals. After a crushing defeat in the WNBA finals, a sweep at the hand of Seattle. After a heartbreak against the Mercury in the semifinals in 2021, they finally got over the hump. Hired Becky Hammon. They recommitted to each other. They recommitted to themselves. Changed the offense. Again, that Greg Popovich influence within Becky Hammon's offense and defense. And they finally won the championship. It's just so good to see this, man. A'ja Wilson, a fantastic season, capped off with a championship. You're talking MVP, her second. Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star Team captain. I mean, all that happened within this season. Now a WNBA champion. Jackie Young, most improved player, improved her three-point percentage exponentially, was key in doing what they do. She's a champion. Kelsey Plum, All-Star Game MVP, the lefty, consistently getting to the cup. Nobody could really stop her. Hitting from outside. Chelsea Gray, the point guard. Finals MVP, rightfully so. Her postseason run was just fantastic. It was otherworldly. Becky Hammon becoming the first head coach to win the WNBA championship in their first year. This championship was personal for me, y'all. I'm happy for the Aces. Congratulations, WNBA World Champions. I can only wish I was at the parade yesterday. It was popping off. Had to be a wild scene. With everything that I saw, it was wild. Man, I wish I could have been there, but I am so happy for the Aces. My second home team win the WNBA championship. Oh, you best believe it's on and popping. Keeping it in Vegas, we got some fight news, or some potential fight news. It seems that Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor are headed for a second fight. Now, this has been a long rumor. Nothing has really come together. McGregor had to go back into the octagon and do what he did. Unfortunately, he didn't have the success that he was looking for. But you always knew that he wanted to return to his roots in boxing, and that's where a lot of guys are going. Jose Aldo, who just retired from the octagon as well, probably going to go into boxing. So this is where a lot of those guys in MMA are kind of transitioning to. Now, a lot of it has to do with the money that they get, but that's a different story for a different day. Now, it's said that Mayweather wants it to be an exhibition, as the first fight was, but it might count as a professional bout. Mayweather would prefer to be an exhibition. Now, I don't think Mayweather is wanting this to be an exhibition purely to keep his record spotless. I don't think he's doing that. I'll tell you what I think. I think he's doing this because he knows that if it's a professional bout, he's going to go in and destroy McGregor. It's not going to be worth watching. It's going to be absolute destruction. I'm not saying that he's going to go in and knock him out, but he's going to outclass him. The first fight was entertaining because it was an exhibition, and it turned out to be an entertaining fight. It was really entertaining. I think it was more entertaining and went further than most people thought it would. McGregor had a really good chance of winning that exhibition fight had he not ran out of gas. He tapped his tank. That's the only reason why Mayweather was able to come out with that win. Because McGregor kept up with him for 10 rounds. But if this is a professional bout, I don't see it being as entertaining as an exhibition would. There's far more on the line in a professional bout than there would be an exhibition. Now, both these guys are going to make a boatload of money, as they did in their first fight. You're talking about hundreds of millions between the two of them. They're named fighters. Their first fight was entertaining. If it is a professional bout, it does up the ante, and I think it does up the purse. But if it's an exhibition, I think it'd be more entertaining. It's going to be really interesting to see which direction this goes in. But as I said, I think if it's a professional bout as opposed to an exhibition, McGregor is going to get worked. Mayweather's walking out with that win. And it's not going to be close. So we have to keep our eyes on that. Like I said, the first fight was entertaining, but the second fight, who knows? Well, y'all, that'll do it for me. That was episode 115 of Toss Tristain Sports Show. You all know where to find me on social media. At the20double. That's at the number 2, the number 0, and the word double. Follow me. TossNationMedia.com, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports is what you deserve. Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. Your home for Toss on Facebook. We touch on a lot of things there that we don't get a chance to here on this program. That's Facebook.com/T on Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. But as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T-Squared, Tristan Thomas, reminding all of you, just keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week, so long from Toss.